We'll be calling this meeting to order. All right, thanks everybody. And now we will have the invocation offered by Katie Miller. Katie.
Hi, everybody. I want to take a couple minutes here if everybody could just reflect on some words that I found that I thought were poignant. Each of us is a minority with respect to something. It might be race, religion, sexual orientation, nationality, or whatever we may be regarded as different. Each of us is also part of some majority. It is when we wear our majority hats that we need to be the most mindful of how we treat others. We must pledge our best efforts to help one another and to defend the rights of all our citizens and residents. And there's my words of wisdom.
Sorry, I was unmuting myself at the same time Cheryl was unmuting me, and two positives make a negative. Thank you very much, Katie. And those are really important words for us to think, especially as we move forward in a time that has been challenging. This time, I'd like the flag, please, Cheryl. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test, please. The four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? All right, thank you, Cheryl. Well, welcome everybody. It's exciting to see you all. It's been a little while since I had the gavel in my hand, and certainly it was a virtual way, so we don't have to pass the bell back and forth when President Bowie is out of town. So I'm stepping in for Steve, as I believe he's in Maine. He was traveling around. I think that's where he is probably today, and having a well-deserved vacation. And I would like to remind people that August 3rd is Rotary Camp night at the Rubber Ducks. A bit of trivia that I'll throw out there. I wasn't going to have an icebreaker. Steve told me not to have an icebreaker, but a bit of trivia. The Rubber Ducks game that the Rotary Camp is having an event at is the Akron Rubber Ducks playing the Altoona Curve. So for a Starbucks card, I still have 3 left in my presidential bucket here. Why is that team called the Curve? Why would an Altoona team be called the Curve? Anybody want to take a stab at it? I think I saw Vivian.
Vivian says because the railroad was on a curve.
You're right. The great horseshoe curve, the world famous horseshoe curve, was in my hometown. And it really is a pretty interesting feat where you can stand in the middle of the curve and see the train coming and going at the same time. Yep. So it's the Altoona Curve.
Yep, coming. You can see it coming and going both.
That's right. Well, good job, Vivian. I'll get a Starbucks card to you. And don't tell President Bowie that I snuck that in. But when I saw it was Altoona Curve, I thought, I bet, having grown up in Altoona, I'm probably the only one that knows that. But no, we know. And actually, the Horseshoe Curve was a bombing site during World War II. It was a potential bombing site. So that was the excitement of the town that I grew up in preceding. I wasn't aware at that time, of course, but okay. David Hall, or King David Hall, I understand, is our greeter. David, do you have any people to greet? All right.
Trying to get my crown on there. I don't know if you can see or not, but Katie gave me a crown over the weekend here, and for being like an unsung hero here. So I got my crown. Thank you, Katie and Cheryl. As far as guests, we do have a number of guests here. Let me go back to my screen. There you go. Tina, is it boys?
Yes.
Boy?
Correct.
Tina? welcome. You're a guest of somebody?
I am.
Laura?
I'm a guest of Laura Smiley's, and I am actually a sister in CDC service with Katie Beck. So I'm excited to be in for this one. Thanks.
Oh, excellent.
And
Well,
she's a
welcome.
member of the Crew 32,
I am the best class ever.
the best class ever. Good to see you, Tina. Welcome.
You too, Rob.
And it looks like we
Yeah,
have.
that's debatable.
Who was that?
Sounds like it must have been Mamby, but we don't give him credibility.
It was Doug.
Oh,
Oh,
Doug.
Doug.
All right, Doug.
Laura, is it Duda?
Yep,
Laura, welcome.
thank you.
Laura is a past member of the club and is planning to rejoin us.
All right, Laura, welcome back.
Thank you.
Excellent. And Amy Wade, I believe. You're on mute. Are you?
Amy's a new Rotarian as of.
Amy's
last
new
week.
Rotarian.
Yes.
Okay, well, I've been out for a couple of weeks, so I missed. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, welcome to the Rotary Club, Amy. And other than that, I think everybody else is a member. So I think that's it, Dr. Rob.
Oh, great King David. Do we have any Rotary ambassadors? Anyone who's visited another club or at a gathering there, they got to meet Rotarians outside of our group? Is Stu Buchanan on? I don't see Stu.
Well, Stu's
I-
not.
But you do, Rob. You were at a gathering.
I am an ambassador of Rotary, and I attended End Polio Now night along with a friend this past week. I saw Linda Farkas, and Stu Buchanan actually was running the show. I didn't realize, Stu flies under the radar for me. I'm always surprised, and I never should be, because he always produces and he's involved at such a deep level within the Rotary. But we had a wonderful, wonderful night. Unfortunately, the ball team was winning into the 8th inning and couldn't guard their lead. So I was a little surprised the next day when I found out that they changed their name to Guardian. So maybe it'll be a step forward from that moment on. But it was a fun night. We had a great fellowship. It was good to see so many Rotarians. Next year, we have to have more people from our club, given that Stu was running the show. Anybody else? Cheryl, have you been anywhere this week?
The only place I've been, and this might be of interest to some folks, is in a meeting about our youth protection policy, which is really intriguing. That will be rolled out here this year. We'll have 2 meetings coming up, and I found it extremely enlightening. So be on the lookout for hearing more about our youth protection policy that every member will have to learn about.
All right, thank you, Cheryl. And that's something that I think is a long time coming. Again, with my interest in risk mitigation left over from my work and my battle scars from COVID, I think this is just another area that it's really important for us to protect the youth that we are serving. And I welcome that opportunity to learn more.
Rob, the Risk Management Committee will actually be talking about that issue at our August meeting.
Excellent. Thanks, Terry. Our moment in history, Colleen is going to join us today and give us an Akron Rotary moment in history.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again to Jack Herrig for providing some very thorough information this week to share. The year I'll be focusing on is 1995. And starting locally, Pam Kiltow was our first female president inducted as our Akron Rotary president in 1995. Also locally, the National Civic League named Akron an All-American City for the 2nd time in 95. Going nationally and internationally, Herbert Brown from Clearwater, Florida was our international president. The convention was held in Calgary, Canada, and hosted about 25,000 people. In 1995, the theme was Act with Integrity, Serve with Love, and Work for Peace. And Rotary International established the website rotary.org, if you believe 95 was actually that long ago. The first 8 women also served as district governors of that year. Some other notable world events that I thought everyone would enjoy from 1995. Shaggy's 3rd studio album called Bombastic was released, and the album would go on to win a Grammy for the best reggae album. I see Laura Smiley giggling over there. And also the UK boy band Take That splits when Robbie Williams announced he was quitting the band. The news was so shocking that the UK charity The Samaritans set up a helpline dedicated to helping distraught fans. So 1995 has a lot of crazy things going on, but I wanted to take some of the highlights of that year and really lift our spirits of the most shocking events of that year.
Well, thank you, Colleen. That's very enlightening.
Thanks.
And I do like bombastic. I still do. And I understand that we've had to change the title for our next little piece because we were using What's Up Akron, and that is already owned. So we're changing it up, and until President Bowie comes back, we're calling this What's Happening Around Town, again by Colleen.
Yep. So Cheryl's got a slide up there for us, what's happening around town this week. Thank you, Laura Smiley, for assembling this information for us. Still continuing through August 15th, Stan Hewitt is hosting the Ohio Shakespeare Festival, A Midsummer Night's Dream, $30 general admission, $15 for students. That goes again through August 15th. Tomorrow afternoon, there is a memorial service for Charles and Retta Billow. And there is that's at St. Paul's Episcopal Church. And then there's a reception to follow at Fairlawn Country Club. That is tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow evening at Canton Palace Theater, they are showcasing Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, if you're looking for something to look forward to tomorrow evening. And then on Thursday, the Akron Art Museum's Downtown at Dusk concert series continues with the Numbers Band. The Numbers Band is a continuously showcase band at Downtown at Dusk. The concert kicks off at 6:30 with their headliner. The Numbers Band always brings the largest crowd at their Downtown at Dusk concert, so head out that way Thursday evening. On Friday night, Lock 3 showcases a Beatles tribute band. Concert kicks off at 7 o'clock with their headliner and ends at 10. And then on Saturday at Blossom, my parents will be there. You guys should be there. It's Jackson Brown and James Taylor. Pavilion tickets are sold out, but lawn tickets are available. I know that from personal experience trying to get pavilion tickets that night, but that is Saturday, the 31st. And then Sunday, August 22nd, there are still 20 free tickets available to Romantic Brahms at Blossom at 7 o'clock. Contact Steve or Cheryl Warren if you would like tickets. There's still 20 tickets available, and that's Sunday, August 22nd.
Excellent. Thank you. Another very good job for your public speaking repertoire. Is anybody happy? It's time for happy dollars. Laura Smiley, I see your hand up.
Hi, Dr. Rob. Hi, everyone. I am happy today. So first and foremost, I'm happy that Tina could join our call today. So Tina is the executive director of the Kenmore Neighborhood Association, and they have a great newsletter that goes out. So if you have a minute after the meeting's over, jump on the KNA website and sign up for that newsletter because there's a lot of exciting stuff going on the boulevard. I also wanted to throw in what Colleen said about Jackson Brown and James Taylor. I'm going to be at that show for the summit. We are actually going to be set up at Blossom with a huge sign. So Jackson Brown has a new song out called Cleveland. Oh, I'm going to screw it up now. Cleveland's Heart. Oh no, I'm saying it wrong. Gosh, I've been practicing this too. Anyhow, he's got a new song out that references Cleveland, and he's got a whole promotion going on at Blossom. And he's going to have a big sign with selfie. You can take selfies out in front of it. And word is that he might be around before the show starts. So hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. If you're going to that show, come check out the merch table because he may be hanging out with us there. So yeah, I'm happy. It's going to be a good week. I hope everyone else has a good week too.
Very cool. Anybody else happy? David Hall.
Thanks, Dr. Rob. Yeah, I have 30 happy dollars as last Tuesday I celebrated 30 years being married to my beautiful bride. So that's why I missed the last couple meetings. We did a little trip to Punta Cana. So we had a very good time and again, happy that she's still with me after 30 years.
That's great, Dave. Congratulations to both of you. Anybody else happy?
Jack Herrig and Bill Manby and Doug Cole.
All right, so let's do it in that order.
Vivian and I got $5. We're happy to see Laura back.
Oh, great. Bill Mammy.
I've got $5. One, it's good to see you can't keep your face out of the spotlight, Rob, and it's not even a month and here you are lead meetings again. So it's nice to see your face. Two, it's my member guest this week, so it's always a really awesome week, and it's nice to see that we're going to have great weather for that. Unfortunately, I kind of have a couple unhappy dollars because I have a bunch of damn Zoom calls today as opposed to driving places in this nice weather. So I'm kind of bummed out that I'm cooped up inside all day. I'll see if maybe I can change one of those to an in-person. So
sounds like a good plan. Doug Cole.
I have 5 happy dollars. During the COVID shutdown, my daughter moved from Brooklyn to Manhattan. And just last week, she started a brand new job with ARI. Some of the younger women on the call may know ARI. It's a subsidiary of American Eagle. And she's right down in the thick of things. And another shout out to Kent State University and the School of Fashion Design. She's a graduate, and it's a local gem that a lot of people aren't particularly aware of. So shout out to my daughter.
All right. Thank you, Doug. That's great. Anybody else? I'm not seeing the gallery view when I'm doing this on my computer. I see it better on my iPad, but
Katie Miller does.
who does, Terry?
Katie Miller.
Katie? Katie's always happy. I should have known.
Katie's always happy. So as David mentioned, I have 5 happy dollars. Cheryl and I and Wanda and Terry discussed who would get the next crown for their work they do behind the scenes at Rotary that doesn't always get noticed. And Cheryl delivered the tiara onto our own Sandy Aragon for all of the work she does behind the scenes for our grants, both at our club level and district level. And I delivered the crown to a shocked David Hall for all his work getting us great indicators and speakers, and then always willing to step in and fill in when somebody can't make it, and the way he pivoted during COVID and making our greeters into our moderators. So congratulations to both of them. It was hilarious when I took it over there because David put the crown on his head. His wife walked in the room and said, "Take that thing off your head right now." So it was hilarious. We had a good laugh about it, but congratulations to both of them. And again, just for being some unsung heroes in our club that are working behind the scenes and don't always get recognized.
That's great. Well, that crown will certainly get them recognized. And it looks good, David. It looks, and it's well deserved. I'll throw in 10 happy dollars. I had the opportunity to spend the weekend with my grandson, CJ, in Florida. I'm happy because his parents have been living there for a few weeks now, and their moving van finally arrived last Tuesday. So God bless them. They're both working full time with an 8-month-old, and their house was crazy. So Papa Mac came down and helped just whip the place into shape, and then sneak over to they have a little pool in their apartment area, and CJ and I got to spend some bonding time. But it's a direct flight. I flew out 6 a.m. Saturday morning. I flew back at midnight on Sunday. So it was a quick trip, but I think we made some progress, and they're starting to feel a little more normal. All right, seeing no other happy dollars, are there any other announcements? Anybody that other people in the club think we would benefit from any information that they wish to share? speak up if you do. I'm flipping through, but again, I don't have my gallery view. Hearing
Rob,
none.
this is David. I do thinking about it now. I still looking for more greeters and invocators over the next couple of months. If you want, you can go out and take a look at the website, and there's a greeter and invocation calendar out there. You can sign up real easy. If you're invocator, I send you a notice the Friday before, give you some samples to help you try and come up with your invocation. And if you're greeter, then I let you know the day before the meeting that you'll be the greeter that day. So if you could go out and sign up for some, or if you have trouble getting in, just give me a call and I'll be happy to help sign people up. So thank you, Dr. Rob.
Absolutely. And David does a great job pushing this, and the short and sweet is great. We really, since we welcome all comers of any faith or spirituality, we try to keep them to be inspirational, like Katie just did. So keep that in mind. It's not something that you have to feel a lot of pressure. You don't have to be an inherent preacher. You just need to be able to be sincere and follow our Rotary promises. You'll do fine. And it's a great way for especially new members to get to know the rest of the club and to get to be known, as we anticipate getting back into in-person meetings sometime before the summer's ending, I hope. Any other announcements?
Dr. Rob, I'll mention, as you did, just a reminder that camp is having the Akron Rubber Ducks game. So next Tuesday, August 3rd, 6:35 at Canal Park. We are the benefactor of Boris Sater for their Charity Begins at Home. So we're grateful to them for extending us this opportunity. So Rotarians, if you're interested in attending with your family, tickets, complimentary tickets are first come, first serve. We have some Rotarians who have signed up. So just reach out to us and we'll get you all signed up. So hope to see you all.
All right, thanks, Mela. And Mela, is there another Chili Open gathering at camp coming up?
So yes, there is one this Thursday evening. We have a number of Chili Open sponsors who will be joining us. I think Dr. Rob, you're attending. Okay. So if anybody does want to attend this Thursday evening at 5:30 at Rotary Camp, just let me know so I can make sure we have enough food.
Great, thanks.
It's our last one because we only had 3 this year because we only did 3 overnight camps. So we are in week 8 and we have 1 more week after this of camp. It's hard to believe it's gone by so quickly.
Well, that's really incredible. Oh, thanks, Mela. And you did it safely. That's wonderful. At this time, I would love to introduce Katie Beck to our group. Katie is the Executive Director of the North Hill Development Corporation and is a BA graduate in arts, theater writing, community justice studies at Allegheny College in Meadville. She started out, at least one of her earlier roles that you may know, is the director of the Gumdrop Theater, which I understand was a factual and imaginary supporter. It's a supporter of the narratives of fact that are both factual and imaginary of those whose voices are often not heard. So she's clearly an advocate. This North Hill Development Company or Corporation is a not-for-profit that supports the entrepreneurial drive of artists and small business owners in the North Hill. Katie has been the recipient of many awards, recognizing she was in the Akron Chamber 30 of the Future, and she's received multiple other grants and Art Challenges awards. So without further ado, we're really interested to hear what you have to offer, since North Hill is an important space for Akron Rotary to spend some of our volunteer efforts. Take it away, Katie.
Thank you for the introduction. As Rob said, my name is Katie, and I have been doing community organizing work in North Hill for about the last 5 years. So I want to start off with some of my story because it gives context and building blocks for sort of how the work that we're doing now as a nonprofit makes sense. And a lot of times people want to know like where I came from, because I'm kind of random and like to put myself into many different types of things. So I was born and raised in Akron. I grew up mostly in Firestone Park in South Akron. Went to St. Paul's Catholic school, went to St. Vincent St. Mary. And when I graduated from high school, I wanted to leave Akron and swore I would never come back, which I know is a pretty common thing with young people from this city. So as Rob mentioned, I went to Allegheny College in Northwestern Pennsylvania. It's a small liberal arts school that encourages students to have majors and minors in different divisions. So I did major in theater and minored in community and justice studies, which was this intersection of community organizing and also performance art. I found a love for community-based theater and theater for social change, which is all about working with, for, and about specific communities in applied theater situations, but also creating original shows that give platform to their stories and their voices. And so when I discovered this process, I wanted to move back to Akron just to see if I could do that type of work here. So when I moved back in 2014, I moved to North Hill, and it was the first time as an adult and really ever that I'd spent time in the neighborhood, mostly because, as I mentioned, I grew up on the South Side. And so when I got here, I was really surprised to see the diversity and what the neighborhood was doing and what was going on. And so in 2015, there was a North Hill Better Block, which was a 2-day event where they had temporary architecture, pop-up businesses in vacant buildings. They painted bike lanes. They had bocce ball on the street. They had performances. And I was just a neighbor in going to the event, and I was super excited to see it because there was a ton of people. And I still remember going up to the registration table and being like, so what's next? Like, what are the next steps with this? And they were like, this is it for now. But as many of you may be familiar with, the Better Blocks were great catalysts for community organizing to almost formalize into these community development corporations, because that community organizing work was already happening within local leaders, but having that platform through the Better Block helped to garner attention, positive attention for our neighborhoods, especially considering them as economic drivers of our city. So anyways, as I was saying in North Hill, I started Gum Dip Theater, which is a community-based theater company, and I actually still co-run it with my partner Nima Ball, who's a Bhutanese Nepali American. We are still producing work. We're working on a Night Arts Challenge piece called 3 Countries, 1 Mother, which will be the first professional theater production about the Bhutanese Nepali American experience. And then we are also part of Center for Applied Theater and Active Culture, which is in residence at the Balch Street Theater. So I just wanted to give that little plug on the side in case any of you are interested in ever seeing live performances, and especially supporting historically excluded communities. So in 2017, I was hired by the Better Block Foundation to be in AmeriCorps Vista for a new public space called the Exchange House that was opening in North Hill, right by the Temple Square Business District. Better Block had won a Night Cities Challenge grant to take advantage of excess housing stock in the neighborhood and create a multi-use space of an international hostel and cultural hub. They bought 2 houses on Elma Street, which is parallel to North Main Street and the intersection of East Cuyahoga Falls Avenue. And they renovated the Exchange House from top to bottom. And when I joined the team, they had this blank canvas and they had this idea, and they sort of just handed it over and said, all right, let's see what happens. Better Block is actually based in Dallas, Texas. So I spent about 2.5 years working, not by myself necessarily, but like on the ground in Akron while they were in Dallas. So that first year that I was in the house, I spent a lot of time building relationships, listening to the stories and histories of the community, trying to understand the social structure within the neighborhood of who's been doing what what are the assets, what are some of the opportunities. And so really the first year or two, I was building trust and relationships and starting to test out and prototype different programming. So we had Access Point did 2 mini health clinics every week, where they were really serving a lot of the immigrants in the neighborhood. We had dance classes, we had black box theater performances, we had sewing classes. And then on the second floor, we had 3 rooms listed on Airbnb individually. So people from out of town would come and stay and then walk downstairs, and there would be like an ESL class or like a birthday party going on. So before the pandemic, it was really fun to have that structure because the Airbnb allowed for this cultural tourism where we can encourage people to go to shops and eat at restaurants, and then also interact with the neighbors. When the pandemic happened, of course, we had to shift because random people staying in the same house together doesn't work with the global pandemic. So now it's full, we're renting out the whole house on Airbnb. So it sleeps 9 people, and we're still able to host families and groups and welcome them to any events or anything that we're having. Then over those 2 years I was working in Exchange House, we also had a parking lot behind our 2 houses. The parking lot was originally there was a fence between the houses and the parking lot. And in January 2017, when there was the refugee ban by the president, we had a march starting at Patterson Park that walked all the way around the neighborhood and ended in that parking lot where speakers were on the back deck of the Exchange House. And that was the first big opportunity that people really activated that space. And since that point in 2017, we've built it year by year as a community space. So we had a festival with a pop-up tent in 2017. Then in 2018, we built more temporary architecture. And then this year we did more permanent architecture, and now we call it People's Park. So I'm going to open my photos now, because as I'm talking about these spaces and the history of it, it's better to have the visuals, I think, than just hearing my voice the whole time. So these are some photos from our People's Park that I'm mentioning. We've had performers, artists of every community. We've had multilingual meals, which was in conjunction with Akron Community Foundation's oh, sorry, I didn't realize that my video went out. There we go. Multilingual meals was with the On the Table initiative. So we had 12 conversations in 9 different languages. We hired facilitators to carry on the conversations and then give us feedback in English. So a lot of that pretty much surveying that we got in a very positive community setting has built the foundation of our values as an organization and how we chose to make certain decisions in the future. So this is the Exchange House, as I was talking about. Now we are renting on Airbnb. If you have any family or friends coming in town, you're supporting a nonprofit, and it's a great way to spend some time in North Hill. Yeah, it's open and it's looking beautiful. This is our People's Park. This was a photo from a Corinne bamboo dance class that we did this summer. So that shows part of the pavilion, and just that we're all about having these special events, whether it's our own programming or hosting other organizations for people, for especially cross-cultural interaction and building trust again among community members. Just to sort of end the history part of this, at the end of 2019, Better Block Foundation donated the Exchange House, the People's Park, and then the second house to North Akron Community Development Corporation because they wanted to put the spaces back in the hands of local leaders. So when they donated those spaces, I came with them, which I think was not a surprise, but it was an interesting trade for the CDC. North Akron CDC has been around since 2017, right after the Better Blocks and after there was significant investment from the Knight Foundation into the local CDCs, including Kenmore Neighborhood Alliance and the Well CDC. So NACDC had existed before my time, but once the house is transferred, it was clear that that would be the next step. And so in February 2020, I was encouraged to step into the executive director position. So I did, and it was perfect timing for the global pandemic to step into this leadership role right when it happens. So of course, with the pandemic, we had to cancel a lot of our events we had planned. Our Airbnb had no business, so we offered some rooms for folks from the community that had housing insecurity. And so we just sort of had to take a break. We were also continuing renovations in our second house next to the Exchange House, but that was also very slow. So in the spring, we got a call from a venture capitalist who was buying up some commercial buildings in the Temple Square Business District. And he said, hey, I have this restaurant space on North Main Street. It's where the Office Bistro used to be, or Mexico City Restaurant for a year, if any of you are familiar with that. And he said, I'm looking for someone to activate this. So I went back to my board and I brought it up, and we at first were thinking like, oh, maybe we can find someone. But then we said, well, why don't we just activate it ourselves and create a platform for other people and leaders and artists we know to come in and utilize this space. So over a couple months time, we brainstormed and came up with the concept of No High Pop-Up, which is a rotating restaurant. So every weekend, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday is a different type of cuisine. We opened in August of last year to huge community response, which we honestly did not expect. And so we've been running nearly every weekend except holidays with a different food entrepreneur coming in, taking over the kitchen for the week. And we help with some technical assistance. We help with like costing their food prices and menu creation, and also how to manage and expedite the kitchen. So we have a head chef and program director that assists with these food entrepreneurs. It helps to mitigate risks, especially in the barriers that come with owning and operating a professional kitchen in a restaurant. So since August 2020, we've had about $270,000 in sales, which was much, much higher than we had expected. And we've paid out over $90,000 back to culinary art entrepreneurs in that time. So we're really proud of sort of what we've been able to accomplish and helping the entrepreneurs build clientele and try out new menu items, and continue to build other opportunities even outside of our North Hill location to present and share their cuisine. This summer, we've also taken over the Lock 3 kitchen with No High. So we've had some of the culinary art entrepreneurs who are ready to do more come down and do, you know, a night when there's an event going on in Lock 3. So we're really working on how we can build a strong pipeline for culinary art entrepreneurs that's connected to other regional food opportunities. So that's been a really huge success, and we're nearing in on 1 year now for No High. So then after we opened No High, we had the whole space has 3 storefronts total, and it's a really weird shape. But we had one half that we were using as our office, but we were like, well, what if we activate this to be something as well? So we opened No Teak on Small Business Saturday right before the holidays, and we had 18 vendors, makers, and artists who were from historically excluded communities come in, do a pop-up shop, and we had quite a few sales. And then this year we sort of redesigned, and now we have, I think, like closer to 25 vendors, and it's been a really nice complement with No High Pop-Up, where people can come in, order dinner, go get a gift from the shop, go across the street to People's Park and see a concert, all of those kinds of things. So it's exciting because we're really trying to bring people into Temple Square with these spaces, and to also patron some of the other local businesses. After this last year of craziness with renovating, we opened our second house that I mentioned a couple of times here, called the Maker House. It's right next to the Exchange House. And the idea is it is a community hub. And also we have 2 maker spaces. So we have one in the attic with these textile machines, and then also one in the basement with a glow forge and heat press and that kind of thing. So the idea is that makers can get a monthly membership. They can get a day pass and come in and use the machinery to create. And part of the idea we had with this was, if we have makers using the Maker House, they could then sell out of Notique or sell out of these other sort of mixed-use retail spaces in the city, like North Side. With the Maker House, we've also gotten generous funding from Women's Endowment Fund, Burton D. Morgan, and Bounce in order to implement some entrepreneurial cohorts to work with specifically immigrant women. We're doing Crafty Mart's beginner maker sessions that'll be ESL friendly, and then also Bounce's Aspiring Entrepreneurs program, where we'll be facilitating it in 3 different native languages for women for this first round. With this initiative, we're also looking into how to develop cooperative owned businesses. So really playing on the asset of our immigrant communities being so collectivist. And so instead of encouraging them to own all of their own individual businesses, which we know is a ton of paperwork and bureaucracy and checks to write and papers to sign. So we're hoping that we could design and help them implement their own cooperatives, where again, they could use the Maker House to gather, to create, and then sell in Notique and create another pipeline from our community. The most recent update for us is that we opened Nohi Cafe on June 5th. So it is out of our Nohi restaurant space. We've opened it up for some indoor seating, but we are selling locally sourced coffees and teas. We have Bereka Coffee Company, which is an Ethiopian owned company. They are doing Ethiopian coffee ceremonies the last Monday of every month at Nohi. We just had one last night. It's a super cool experience. I highly recommend y'all come in at some point. And then we also have Manny Kitchen, which is a tea vendor who is located in Kenmore on Kenmore Boulevard. So this is just kind of, this is also an experiment for us because we're just trying to have as many reasons for people to come into Temple Square as possible. And also with the cafe, we opened, we're now open 7 days a week. So what does it mean to build patronage and to support, you know, our coffee and tea entrepreneurs to also build their brand and clientele? So this was just sort of an overview of all of our spaces. We also have some future opportunities in the neighborhood. We are focused on economic development, creative placemaking, and building social cohesion. And so we have our eyes on some other buildings in Temple Square, where we're hoping to do some affordable housing, especially in partnership with International Institute, with so many refugees being resettled in the neighborhood. And then also trying to build some sort of arts and cultural center. As I showed some photos, especially in our People's Park, we've had dancers, theater artists, musicians put on all these different kinds of festivals, or even use our space for rehearsal. And so we want to be intentional in building a pipeline for visual artists, performing artists, especially different culture bearers in the neighborhood who are asked to perform and share what they're doing. But we want to assist with, again, that business acumen so that folks aren't being exploited or taken advantage of and are actually like building their businesses. So we got our hands in a lot of different things. We really find an intersection of civic, social, cultural opportunities that we're always in partnership with other organizations. And so I'm just really proud of the growth that we've had in the last year. It started with me last February, and now we have a team of 12. So we've grown exponentially in this last year. Our operating budget went up by 350% from 2019 to 2020. So I think it's really demonstrative of the beauty and uniqueness of our neighborhood, and also the folks on our team who are so passionate about, you know, the issues we're addressing and the pretty much many businesses that we're running in order to support and strengthen the power of our community members. I think that's my basic overview. I know sometimes I've overwhelmed with presentations in this way. It's usually better if you guys come out and see the spaces in person. So I invite you all to come out at some point. We have events. We have events all the time. We have an Apollo dance class next Saturday. That's free and open to anyone. We have North Hill Music Fest is coming up. Hot Pepper Fest is coming up. So I can also share some events at the end with you all. Yeah, so that's what I have right now. I'm open to questions or further deliberations.
Great job, Kate. We really appreciate what you're doing. This is David Hall. I'm going to kind of help moderate some of the questions that we find in the chat room, or if anybody wants to jump in. I guess I got a question. I love different types of foods and have visited many of the restaurants over the North Hill, but do you have a website that kind of lists who's coming in to use the restaurant space?
Yes, we always put our menus on our website, which is northakroncdc.org. I'll put it in the chat. We're currently redesigning our branding and website. So the website is functional, but it will be better soon. So I can send it, I'll put a link in the chat about that.
Very good. Got a question here, Dr. McGregor. How do you reach out to community just to sign up community members to perform? Yeah, how do you go about procuring your entertainment there?
I think we've, in some ways, we've built enough of a reputation that a lot of the artists know about us, and I have really good relationships with most of them, being an artist myself. So we kind of have like a running list of people that we work with. And then if someone's coming to do a festival, we can refer them. If someone's doing a festival like in Greater Akron, I've had like infinite number of calls for people looking for different artists. So we do have a database. I'm also very particular about making sure that people pay artists. So at this point, I don't give out names or contact unless it is a paid gig. But we have a really nice community where, you know, we just sort of have our own personal tracking system, and I'm always happy to refer folks.
Great. What hours what hours do the coffee shop keep?
The coffee shop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if you're on your way down North Main for work, you can stop by and get your morning brew. And then it's open 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays, whereas the pop-up is 12 to 8, and then Sundays we're open 10 to 6 for coffee.
Very good. Cheryl's asking, is there any way our club might be able to help with your initiatives? We've been involved with a lot of North High students, and Steve Bowie, our president, who's not here today, but has done a fabulous job over there. And I know we participated in some other events. I remember going to a food event at the North High School a couple years back, and that was fantastic as well. But are there any ways we might be able to help your initiatives?
Yeah, I mean, number one thing I would say is like patronage. So coming in, buying dinner, getting a cup of coffee, coming to events, again, referring our Airbnb, that's like the number one way you could support. And then second is we definitely have a couple events coming up that if y'all were looking for like a volunteer opportunity, we always need help with like setup, cleanup. I have spent enough years now dragging up tables from the basement. So that kind of help is always welcome. But I'm sure we have other opportunities coming up as well, but I can't think of any right in this moment.
That's great. And I guess just a thought out loud here. Katie, who's our social chair now? Katie Miller, I'm sorry.
That would be David Miller is one of our social. So I will put him in contact with the idea of us going to the No High pop-up, because I've gotten dinner from there quite a few times during the pandemic. So it was nice to have a nice fancy meal, but take it home, and the quality and the variety is just amazing. Well worth it.
That'd be a great social event, I think, for our club. I'm not seeing any other questions. Anybody out there? Wait a minute. All right.
What is it? What's the seating capacity of the coffee shop?
I would say it's about 15 inside, and then we have a patio that sits 12.
Thank you.
They close at 3 o'clock though, that won't.
So I got another question. Keenly aware that the CDC is different. Every CDC is different. Oftentimes there's pressure to do what other CDCs or organization is doing because it happens to work in another community. How do you stick to your core mission?
That's a good question. I think our core mission is based on the assets of our community. So there are certain initiatives that don't really make sense for us that other CDCs are doing. For example, the Well, since they have such a focus on housing, we're just not doing housing. We don't have the same issues that Middlebury has. And there is actually another CDC in North Hill called Legacies of Success that's associated with Urban Vision. And they have a program that they're renovating houses and getting neighbors on the track to home ownership. So I'm the kind of person that I don't want to duplicate any services. So in terms of housing, it's just not a thing. And then for us, having our physical properties in Temple Square is a natural fit for cultivating economic development, and especially through arts and culture, which again is a direct asset of our community as one of the most racially diverse and socioeconomically mixed neighborhoods in the country. We have to, assess and build on that and try to give, I've been saying give platform to our neighbors, but also continue to do good things for the community. So I think, there's definitely inspiration between the CDCs. We're not exactly in silos, like we're all friends and we all talk. So we definitely information share with each other and get ideas from each other, but we're really finding our lane in creative placemaking and building specifically the creative economy out of the North Hill neighborhood.
Good, very good. Chris Richardson, I think you see in the chat there to everybody, says you're doing a phenomenal job. Has appreciated working with you in the past. And again, the food at No High, another compliment. So sounds like things are going great there.
Thank you, Chris. Miss you.
So that's it for the questions I see in the chat. Anybody else have any other questions that they want to ask Katie at this time?
Katie, this is Rob. Do you have a favorite cuisine? I don't want you to necessarily pick the favorite child, but for some of us that are willing to be adventuresome, what could you just highlight a couple of the high points that you've had?
Sure. On Friday, I had shark. They had Friday, or this past weekend, was like food from the African diaspora. So I tried shark. It was kind of like chicken. It was really good. It is hard. It's hard to pick a favorite, but I've gotten to try so many other things. One week I had curried goat, which again, I've had goat a couple times, but that was really tasty. And then I really love, we have an Iranian chef named Seema Arshadi, who's like a multi-talented entrepreneur. She's a painter, jewelry maker, chef. She does like kebabs, because that's technically like from Persian culture. And she does like saffron rice and the salad. And she is one of our now regular entrepreneurs that will be coming in once a week. So her food is also a favorite of mine. We have Afghani food coming up, I think next month. So I'm excited to try that because I haven't yet. So I hope y'all follow. We're on Facebook and Instagram, both North Akron CDC and No High pop up. They have their own pages. So if you follow, you can see the menu every week and come out and support.
Katie, do you know who's coming to No High this weekend?
We're actually off this weekend.
Okay.
Something that happens is that we work with so many people and we schedule them and then they have to drop out last minute. That's the nature of the beast. So we're closed this weekend, but we will be back the first weekend of August again. Okay. We'll still have the cafe open as well.
Very good.
David, there's another comment.
So the ADM board is excited about the opportunity to be able to support you and work through your funded partners. So that's from Amy Wade. So
Yes,
thank you
we
for your
are
work and
working with,
presentation.
yeah, we're working with Portage Path Behavioral Health to try to connect mental health resources to our neighbors. So that's what I'm talking about. We kind of have our hand in a little bit of everything. So I could probably talk for an hour about the list of partnerships that we have and trying to support the community.
That's fantastic.
Katie, do you have opportunities, or are there translators that help you develop some of these new entrepreneurs that may not have gotten their English where they need to do, some of these business transactions? I read English very well, and I still could get goofed up with contract.
Yeah, that's a good question. With our entrepreneurs, most of the immigrants that we've worked with do speak English, but of course, as you mentioned, like when you get into contracts and legalese, it's super confusing. So honestly, our approach is walking alongside each person, figuring out what it is they need and what we need to help them address. Especially with food entrepreneurs, even like titling or describing food, understanding the contract, we really spend the time. If we have any entrepreneurs who are coming in who don't speak English, we make sure that they have a family member who can interpret, especially in the kitchen when you're going super busy over the weekend. So yeah, we have a lot of connections with that, but generally our entrepreneurs know some level of English, and we are patient and are flexible with them so that they are successful.
Thank you. Any other questions? People feel free to unmute. And while the last couple questions may come in, Katie, I'd just like to really thank you. This was really informative. I spent some time learning more about the Hill when I was in Leadership Akron, and I'm embarrassed to say I just haven't revisited, even though I really found it enjoyable. And I think, it sounds like David Hall wants to use a late anniversary dinner, so I suspect you'll see him back there. But I'm hopeful. The restaurant, we asked about the size of the coffee shop, but the restaurant, how many people? Like if we have a crowd from Rotary that wants to come in, I don't want to overwhelm your place. What's that capacity?
So the cafe and the restaurant are operating out of the same space. So It is about 15 inside, 20 or 12 outside. However, we have our People's Park directly across the street, and that we have a pavilion, so that can hold like 30 to 40 under the pavilion comfortably, and even more in the whole space, like if you spread it out. So we have had it where there's events in the People's Park and then we bring food over or drinks over to the space. So that's also an option. I also want to mention that we have a call out for board members. We're looking for some new board members. So if anyone is looking to join a grassroots oriented, still kind of new kooky board, then we are looking for people. And I can also share the info sheet with maybe Katie to send out to all of you.
That's great. Certainly at Akron Children's, we like to encourage our executive team to spread their wings. That's actually how I got the Rotary, that I was the Akron Children's delegate. I guess I still am, but we have opportunities, so I'll look for that and share it with my colleagues here. Well, as we wrap up, I just want to make sure we recognize that if you run into Tom Gettlein or Tamara Mora this week, wish them happy birthday. And our joint anniversaries, Jay Rudder has 2 years, Laura Horowitz is 5 years, and then August 1st seems to be the day to join Rotary. So whenever August 1st turns out to be on a Tuesday, encourage your friends that may have interest in joining our group, because Cheryl Warren has 26 years, Hugh Alperter has 38 years, Thane Billow, 4 years, Nick Browning, 29 years, and Rick Rogers, 16 years. So August 1st must be the day. So if anybody's interested, reach out or go through our website. And Katie, if you ever have Tuesday at noon free and you want to just drop by, you're more than welcome. I think you really, as one of our strategic plan opportunities is really to build a more inclusive environment. You certainly bring that to the table in spades. So thank you so much for joining us. And we'll keep the mic open, but I need to officially adjourn the meeting as it's now 1 o'clock. So the bell. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Great to see you all again.